What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. It's Thursday night football. We've got the Steelers, we've got the Bengals. We're attacking this from every single angle. If that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
James is back. You probably heard my additional enthusiasm in that introduction. I'm excited to have you back, James. How you been, bro?
Good, man. Last weekend was a little brutal on the picks, but I'm ready to get back to it. Probably a good thing that we didn't record a video because I know we both had a pretty tough weekend, but yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, I had my guts rearranged. Monday Night Football went solo without you. 1-1 there. The read that I liked more lost. The game's anyway, it was confusing as shit. It's a new week. We got new opportunities here. Steelers, Bengals. I don't like betting the Bengals as much. I know you might. I personally do not. But you do the best with what you got, right? So let's smash this from all the different angles, and then we'll see where we land. Firstly, just quickly talking about the spread and the total. I think this opened as a 6-point spread. I think it may have moved slightly to 5.5. 5.5 point spread. Game total is somewhat low at 44.5. It is 13. It is 13. What am I talking about? It is Thursday night football after all, and weird shit tends to happen on Thursday night football. But we have seen some consistency in these Thursday night football games, right? Have you got any numbers, any stats on this?
Yeah, 6 of the last 7 underdogs on primetime have won outright, so maybe that's a telltale sign of what's happened tonight. But yeah, it should be a good game.
But I think the one that didn't win was the Bengals, right?
That's smacked by the Broncos.
Yeah, and they're the dogs again. Quickly wanted to pick your brain about this Pittsburgh team. They've been winning games quietly, going under the radar.
Yeah, they're ahead in the division, surprisingly. I don't think anyone really saw this coming from a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, Tomlin's always got his guys ready to go.
All the edibles, microdosing, all that hippie shit that he's into.
Yeah. It's got him lasting around a little bit longer. But yeah, they're a solid team defensively. They've looked pretty good, although they've had some lapses in the secondary a bit, which we'll get into later. But yeah, their offense has been solid. They've been running the ball well. Rodgers has been good, and DK Metcalf has had a pretty solid season. So yeah, schedule hasn't been as tough as some other teams that are have great records, but yeah, can't complain when they're winning. So yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's attack this freaking game then. I want to talk Steelers first, then we can get to the Bengals. When we look at the Steelers offense, everything starts with A-Rod. Do you have any thoughts on him? I honestly haven't even seen a Steelers game this season, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise they haven't been on prime time just yet, but yeah, I mean, their offense has been pretty good. They've been running the ball really well between like Gainwell and Warren. They've had some solid games mixed in there. And as far as this Bengals defense, they are atrocious all over the field. The Bengals allow the second most pass yards, the 11th most yards to wide receivers, the 6th most yards to the 11th most receptions to wide receivers, and the 6th most yards to wide receivers. And then they've also been getting killed by tight ends. And then quarterbacks have thrown the ball all over them. So it's kind of a good matchup for everyone on the field, which makes it tough to decipher, which player is going to have a great game. But again, divisional game, and a lot of these AFC North games usually have low, grinded out type of games. So I honestly like this spot for Rodgers. I looked at his passing touchdowns over 1.5, but it was juiced to the over, so I stayed away. But I think he set up for a pretty good game here. Do you have any thoughts?
No, just running to the same problem. I was like, the matchup's going to look great for almost everybody.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm leaning towards a couple of receivers, and then I was like, I wonder what Rodgers' line is. I was like, this line's pretty low. And then I was like, yeah, he hasn't been throwing too well this season though. But the matchup is juicy as hell. And it depends on which side of the coin you want to sit on. It's like, do the Steelers just dominate this game? Is it a grind out game? They don't push for too much yardage. Rodgers probably doesn't see the volume, and they may run the ball a bit more, right? If this was Sunday, that's probably the angle that I'd be thinking of in this game, and I'd probably trust the spread a little bit more. Now that I know it's Thursday night football, so I probably remove that from my thought process and say this is a neutral game spread. Let's just assume that this is going to go down to the wire, field goal with 3 seconds left is going to seal this game. They're going to go toe to toe. And if we picture it that way, then Rodgers probably going to have to throw the ball. He's probably going to have to get busy, right? So right now I'd be leaning towards the over, probably just on his yards, potentially his just completions. That's just my lean on Rodgers for now. We'll get through this whole Steelers outfit, and then probably things will get a little bit clearer from there. But let's talk about some running backs from the Steelers. We got Warren and Gainwell. I bet on Jalen Warren last week, and it cooked me. Hopefully we get a better read on this bastard today. Do you have any thoughts on either of these two on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, again, the Bengals are not great on the ground.
Yeah.
It's of note that the Bengals have allowed the 5th most RB receiving yards. Smaller sample, it hasn't been too many weeks so far, and it kind of depends on the running backs you're facing. But they've been susceptible through the air. Kenny Gainwell has actually been a pretty solid target for Rodgers. He mentioned how he loves to target him. If you look at his receptions, he's getting a bunch of catches each of these games. So one of my leans was actually his receptions line. I think he could have, a lot of dump offs, but they mixed in Caleb Johnson a little bit last week. So you kind of got 3 people here. It's a little crowded, kind of tough to tell, especially with Arthur Smith calling plays. He loves to kind of do weird shit and throw in, random running backs here and there. So kind of tough to tell. Good matchup. So you might want to take someone here, but yeah, I don't have any strong leans on these guys.
You're right. It is crowded. It's just a matter of who's going to exploit this, right? Warren probably has a lot more efficiency, but Gainwell getting a lot more catches. Is he catching these in the backfield or something? Because he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, not a lot of yards. So he's just, in the flats, catch and pick up like 2 yards to get tackled. But
it's like 3rd and 1. It's like, all right, let's hit him.
Boy. He had a really good game when Warren was out, so he kind of earned the trust of the coaches a little bit. But again, a lot of people mixing in. So it's pretty tough to tell.
Yeah, you're right. I think I'll probably stay away from the running backs from the Steelers. It's just, I think here in Australia we call it pissing in the wind. And
interesting.
Yeah, and if you haven't pissed in the wind before, you should try it. But that's what betting on these running backs is like. So you'll likely get piss on you. So let's talk about this receiving call from the Steelers. I was 90% of the way on just betting on DK here, but I was probably a little bit lazy in my initial phase of my research, and I was like, man, DK, your wide receiver ones, they've been killing the Bengals all season. The matchup is fantastic, but then you look a little bit deeper, and it's like the matchup's fantastic for everyone. But I lean towards the over here for DK purely because he is that number 1 option. The fact that he absolutely eats zone alive. Bengals running a lot of zone right now. It seems like a no-brainer to me. But this is the one that I wanted to run past you to see what are your thoughts on it. Is there something that I'm missing here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward read. Terrible defense, like you said. Calvin Austin, who is their 2nd wide receiver, is questionable for this game. He was out last week, so that could potentially affect a DK Metcalf prop. But for me, I'm just like a little too nervous about the volume. He's been having like 4 or even 3 catches in some of these games. And for a line this high, that kind of scares me a bit. So that's kind of where I stand on DK. The receptions and the targets just haven't really been there. He had 9 last week. So maybe Rodgers is kind of finding something. But the volume is a little bit scary here for a line that's at 64.5.
Yeah, I know. So it's looking at a big play, I'd say.
Yeah.
So longest reception has its risks too. So I guess my thought process here is I'd feel more confident betting the over in receiving yards if Rodgers can somewhat replicate what he did last week. But as you said, Austin was out last week, and he's on the fence on whether he plays in this game.
I think he's leaning towards missing, so that'll be a plus for DK. But yeah.
Okay. I'm now 95% of the way there of betting it. I'll do some more research, and it probably gets me there anyway. Do you have any other looks on the Steelers receivers?
I think it's worth looking at the tight ends. Like you said, I mean, it's a great matchup everywhere, but the Bengals have been terrible guarding tight ends. A lot of guys have had solid games. It's kind of tough here because both Darnell Washington and Johnny Smith have been getting run, and you mix in Pat Freiermuth as well. So there's 3 guys out there, but yeah,
no
I mean,
piss everywhere.
the Steelers love to use those 2 tight end sets, so a lot of them play together a lot. And for Darnell Washington, he saw a season high in snap share the past 2 weeks. So Mike Tomlin's been raving about him. This line moved a lot. It opened at 17.5, so might have lost the value there. But
that's one extra reception now you need to get.
But honestly, my favorite look amongst these tight ends is actually Darnell Washington under on his longest reception. He had a lucky long play last week that kind of cracked for a big gain, but he's kind of been their run blocker and then like a dump off guy. And he's like 6'8", and he's a massive guy. So he's not really making people miss after the tackle. He's kind of running the first guy over, and then it's like a group effort to get him down. So kind of a high line, I think. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on the Steelers tight ends?
No, but I want to engage in this discussion. I think this is fascinating, and I think this longest reception is a good look, because if it was one run that really blew it out, these just looking. I wanted to get his averages. Like, he doesn't hit this line very often, but the Bengals are so shit, right? Exactly. I think that's my only hesitation. But yeah. I'll probably side with you there on the fact that it's more likely that he goes under, but with a touch of God, suddenly it's a big run, right? One missed tackle, and he's gone. If he runs over that first guy and they can't gang him quick enough, he'll keep moving. I wanted to ask you about this defense for the Bengals. Like, what kind of defense do they play? Because where I'm going at here is like everyone's got a good matchup, right? But it's like, where does Rodgers want to go first? Like, well, does he have a preference, do you think, in his style and who he hits? Or
I mean, the Bengals play a lot, or not a lot. They play like a good, healthy mix of both man coverage and zone coverage. So it's kind of tough to say like, oh, DK Metcalf has a really high yards per out run against man, we should bet on him, because they play kind of a balanced defense. So it's kind of, there's not too much I can take away from like the style of defense that the Bengals play. I think they're 15th in man frequency and 17th in zone frequency. So, there's not too much to take away there. I mean, they've been getting torched by everyone, like we've said multiple times. You could take your bet, maybe a ladder on one of these guys with a low line, ladder them up to 40 plus. Hope they kind of hit a big play, but I don't know.
Okay. Have you looked at like target share? Do you have an idea of target share for the Steelers?
I mean, DK has not been grabbing too many targets, but if you look at Rodgers' like pass attempts, they haven't really been throwing all that much. They love to have these long grinded out possessions where they run the ball like 6 times, and that eats the clock and ultimately like lowers the total amount of targets in the offense. So I mean, Calvin Austin, who is probably going to be out for this game, was a solid weapon for them. He was getting like 4 or 5 catches a game. So there are some extra targets to go around here. Might go to the running backs, might go to the tight ends. There's a lot of different angles you can kind of take here, but it's messy for sure.
Yeah. Okay, we're pissing in the wind with these receivers. So I'm still leaning towards DK, but let's take a look at these Bengals then. We got Flacco. Hasn't been slinging that thing around, and by that thing I mean the football, as he was in previous years. Like, he was putting up some monster numbers in some big games, but hopefully he can find some form and hit some of these guys. Do you have any thoughts or any reads on Joe?
Yeah, I think it's noteworthy that he had 45 pass attempts last week. It's a crazy high number. So they're not worried about letting him air the ball out. They played a really good Packers defense, and surprisingly, Flacco is actually the highest PFF graded passer since Burrow in week 1. I guess that's not that surprising since Browning was terrible, but he's definitely an upgrade here. And it's also of note that he targeted Jamar Chase and T. Higgins 20 of the 45 pass attempts. So he wanted to get those guys involved. He was, the new guy on the street, so he wanted to feed his best receivers, their highest paid guys. So, yeah, I think their lines are pretty appropriate based on what they've done this season. And also, we only have one game with Flacco. So, his line is pretty high, 238.5. So, I think we can expect a lot of volume here. I think that line is pretty telling when you look at some of the pass catchers on this team. So, yeah, I mean, line's pretty high. I think it's relatively appropriate. I wouldn't go under just because the Bengals haven't been able to run the ball. So, yeah, we'll see. I think Flacco's in for a pretty solid game here. I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps it close here with the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm thinking more attempts or completions. Because what I noticed, I don't know what I was doing, but I actually watched the last Bengals game. Actually, I had a bet on Jamar Chase. That's why. And I found like, I don't know the average depth of his targets. I haven't looked at the numbers at that, but just watching the game, I feel like this motherfucker's going short a lot.
Yeah, a lot of short passes. I mean, he doesn't have the same arm strength as he did like 10, 15 years ago. So,
right.
Yeah, a lot of targets going short to Chase and Higgins, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking. I like this Bengals offense purely for the volume we should see. So I'm leaning towards something around his completions or his pass attempts. Because as you said, they don't run the ball much and they don't run it well. So whether the passes be short or long, I'm leaning more to the short side. He's going to be throwing that thing around. 36.5 attempts. It seems high, but shit, your man's averaging 41 so far this season. The question here is, in a slow, gritty type of game,
exactly,
will there be enough possessions? So
that's
my hesitation. I'm betting on Joe, but I lean towards his volume. All right, let's talk about Bengals on the ground, if they do any work there. Chase Brown unders have been a wagon this season. I've run under in rushing yards, over in receptions probably 4 times with him. Didn't cash last week. They were hitting somebody else, but do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. So I actually bet on Chase Brown receptions last week. Didn't come through, but
it was plus money last week. That's why.
Exactly.
You'd have to bet on it.
Yeah. Flacco's like a dump off guy. So the thought is, Chase Brown will be there in the flats. So I do like the receiving angle. I think, 2 receptions last game. I'm sure they'll try to involve him more. As far as him on the ground, his rush attempts line is still at, it's bouncing between like 12.5 and 13.5. And that's crazy considering he's been under in 4 straight. The line hasn't moved all that much. And
he's only gone over in the games they won.
Exactly. But as far as his rushing yards, I mean, it's so gross, but I do lean to the over just because I think they have to get him involved here. Like, they can't just rely on Flacco to throw like 50 times to win this game. It's not a great matchup. It's kind of middle of the pack, but if I were to bet on Chase Brown, it's so gross and nasty, and I'm sure a lot of people will take his under, but I honestly lean his over in this spot.
Yeah. I'm thinking, right, because like I like the thought process around the under in his rush attempts, but the 4 games he's gone under in his rush attempts, it's because the Bengals weren't even close.
Yeah.
It wasn't competitive. But if I'm playing with a neutral game script here, and it is competitive, he likely sees 1 or 2 extra carries, and this line is probably spot on.
Yeah, I agree.
It just comes down to if the Thursday night football trend continues, this game might be a little bit closer, a little bit more competitive, and they probably run the ball with him a little bit more. So, yeah, I get the angle on his rushing yards, to be honest, to go over, because he hasn't been that far in a couple of these games. Hasn't been that far off.
Yeah, and we saw him last year. I mean, he was dominant on the ground at the end of the season. So we know he's a good player. Obviously, Joe Burrow is there, so that kind of opened up the offense a bit more. But he's a good player. I think, with the rush attempts line staying at 12.5, I just feel like they, Vegas kind of knows that they're trying to get him involved. So, yeah, I might honestly bet that. That was one of my other leans, but it's not.
This could be one of those plays, James. It's like, I know he's only hit this 1 out of 6 games. I know it. But lines are set here for a reason, right?
Exactly.
If you're betting on hit rate, you'd bet the under every single time in players like this, and you'd be surprisingly upset by the end of the season. It's like, why didn't I win? So I think that could be a really interesting one that no one bets on. The Chase Brown over in his rushing yards.
Yeah, I've seen some people on his under too. So maybe you wait for it to go down a yard or two, get some value there, and then bet it right before game time. So
yeah. I'm thinking under 12.5 rush attempts, over in rushing yards.
Yeah, you get some nice juice on that one for sure.
Yeah. We shall see. What about the backup? You got any looks on this daft looking motherfucker? Copy my hairstyle, this guy.
Yeah, he's actually been playing a little bit more, which has impacted Chase Brown a little bit. He's been playing on third down snaps because he's a great
got 3 targets, the bastard. That's why we didn't win on Chase Brown last week.
Exactly, yeah. But he's been getting those pass protection reps because he's kind of a veteran and he knows exactly what to do, where to pick up the blitzes and whatnot. So I don't have anything on him. He's kind of just like the old guy on the block. I don't feel like betting on Samaj P. Ryan, to be honest. But yeah, there could be some nice angles there. He just doesn't play enough for me to want to take the dip on something.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right, let's get into these receivers. I personally locked in Chase already. Did you lock in Chase already, or did you lock in?
I did not. No, but I do like the angle.
Yeah? Well, you can spin it. What's the angle here on Chase? I feel like we've bet on Chase pretty often this season when the Bengals come around.
Yeah. So I bet on him for 100+ actually against the Lions. So that was nice. He's obviously such a good receiver. It's so fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, 12 targets last week. Flacco's in there to get Chase the ball. That's his main goal here. Another short week, so it's not like he has a ton of time to prepare. We know he wants to get him the ball. I honestly like his receptions a bit more just because Flacco did a lot of underneath stuff, and Chase was running, some slants, some short routes, trying to get some yards after catch opportunities. But yeah, I think he set up for a good game here. The Steelers do have Jalen Ramsey and Joey Porter Jr. back healthy, so they have 2 solid cornerbacks out there to guard both Chase and Higgins, and I'm sure we'll see some bracket coverage with the safety over the top on Chase, but that hasn't stopped him in the past, and I don't think that'll stop him here. So, yeah, do you have any thoughts on Chase other than that?
Yeah, the way I looked at this was short week. So, in terms of prep, I think they go with what's easy, and what's easy is what they most likely did last week. The connection with Chase, high-paid player, you got to feed him. Flacco's going to be throwing that shit all over the place. I know I was just tossing up between Chase and Higgins. Who do I take here? But I liked just watching Chase. I think just waiting for a breakout. Like there was some frustration, but positivity watching Chase last week. It's like he's catching them, but he wasn't going that far. So just on sheer volume, I liked the fact that he was being targeted so often. And it's not like a lot of these passes were incomplete. Like Flacco was finding some hands. So I just like Chase to be actively involved in this one. And I'm toying with the idea that the Bengals do keep this somewhat close. They'll probably cook it towards late in the game, but I think they keep it close enough. And if they're keeping it close, Chase is going to have a big hand in their offense. So I decided with him, but I also like Higgins for some very similar reasons. I guess those are somewhat competing props in my mind. So don't want to overexpose myself by taking both. That's all. But I went with Chase. I took it at 71.5. It's up a little bit, but I'd probably play that up until 74.5.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, got to get your guys going. So, yeah, expect Chase to have a solid game. I actually bet on Noah Fant, who is the tight end for
Let's go.
the Bengals. So I got this at 26.5. I would take it all the way up to 29.5. And this is a phenomenal matchup for tight ends. The Steelers have allowed the 3rd most yards to the position and the 3rd most receiving yards overall. So pretty solid matchup for everyone on the field. But like I said before, the Steelers have Ramsey and Porter back healthy. So maybe we see some stronger coverage against Chase and Higgins. But as far as some of the tight ends who have played against the Steelers recently, Fannin and Njoku just had 109 combined yards last week. We saw 39 yards from Hawkinson, 90 from Hunter Henry, and then 26 from AJ Barner. But yeah, the middle of the field will be open in this game. And like we said, we expect some pass attempts from Flacco. And yeah, as far as kind of positionally, you might be concerned about some of the other tight ends that the Bengals have, but Gesicki just got placed on IR last week with a pectoral injury. And then Tanner Hudson, who's their 3rd tight end, is questionable and missed practice both yesterday and today. So it's a thin tight end room. We saw Fant play the most snaps of the season last week once Gesicki got injured. So he's going to be out there. I think this is a pretty low line considering he's going to be on the field a lot and the Bengals are going to be passing. So I honestly don't hate a ladder here, but I'm sticking with just 26.5 right now. I'd play that all the way up to 29.5.
I like this.
Yeah, we love our tight ends with some low lines. We've been
low lines, low self-esteem. It's the perfect combination. The receiving yards look nice. The receptions look nice. Because, like, very consistent outputs from him. Target share. And then if we're saying it's been very consistent with Noah Fant, the matchup is good, and he's only expected to see more time on the field than he normally would, given the team's injuries.
Yeah.
So I agree. This line does seem too low.
Yeah, and if you look at longest reception here, he's a guy who has had quite long receptions in previous seasons. He hasn't had very many this season. But then if you look at some of the other tight ends who have played the Steelers recently, these guys have been having 15 to 20 yard receptions. So you could look at the receptions line. I like that as well, but I think he could have like a 15 or 20
It could be a breakout.
Yeah, exactly. That's an easy cash if he has like a 20 yarder. So I like the yards here for Fant.
Yeah, you're a smart fellow there, James.
Yeah,
I like this. I wanted to pick your brain on this. Yosivas. He's someone that I had as a lean, obviously. Bengals thrown all over the joint. Quite a low line, I would say. But I think my thought process around this is like, if he's going to get heaps of targets, he can cover this in one catch, really. So I was thinking, is there ladder potential here for Yosivas? I'm thinking if he catches it twice, he'll get 20.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely could. And with the tight end injuries, Fant might be the only guy out there, and that might mean that they have to run more 3 wide receiver sets, and Yosivas is the guy. He has been playing a ton of snaps so far this season, so he's going to be out there. That's a guarantee. And we expect the attempts. It's kind of tough because, again, we like a lot of the spots here for these receivers and pass catchers. So you're kind of picking and choosing which one you want. But I don't hate Yosivas here. I think he could also have a solid game. But we said Flacco has a high passing line. So, there could be 2 or 3 of these guys that all hit their lines. So, yeah.
I'm just thinking about how do I play this, right? Like, I think I'm confident I can play this guy at 20 at plus money, potentially 25. But then your Fant look has really got me twisted as well, because I really like that. And I've already bet on Chase. So I don't want to be a psychopath laying down 3 units on 3 different receivers on the same team with Flacco's arthritic arm. I've got to put a lot of trust in this guy's arthritis management in a short turnaround, right? So, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm pretty confident I will ladder this, just because if he's going to be out there a lot more. He had 4 targets last week, couldn't catch a cold. So hopefully a nice bounce back spot, and his mitts are working. I'll probably end up laddering that too. I'm close there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Do you have any other looks on the Bengals?
I think that's pretty much it for me. I think we pretty much covered most of them.
Okay, sweet. All right, let's do a quick recap for those people who didn't want to sit by the mayhem. But fire, my emails are going off. Sorry, I got notifications popping up all over the place. Actually, this is actually the perfect time, because I want to tell everyone to stop sending me emails. So I got to say this real quick, and I'm going to put myself on the big screen for this. My inbox has been getting smashed over the last 4 or 5 days, really since the NBA preseason started to really heat up. And I'm getting the same email, same message on Discord and on Instagram, and it's, are you doing the NBA season pass again? And the short answer to that is hell yes. Last season, we did 337 units profit. So I am creating the plan. As part of the plan, you'll get my NBA, NFL, soccer, straight picks, parlays. You get the absolute lot. You know what we're betting, why we're betting it, and how it's performing every single day. There's no fluff, no guessing, no chasing. So I'll leave a link down below in the video description if you're interested in signing up to the season pass. James, you keen for the NBA this season?
Oh, yeah. Tuned in.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a different beast. We're going to do NBA content every single day, and then NFL content. We'll try to do at least 3 videos a week. So it's going to be real juicy. But let's get this summary out. I've already locked in Jamar Chase. We're talking for over 71.5 receiving yards. Throughout this conversation, I'm now 95% of the way of betting on DK Metcalf over his receiving yards. I'm 99% sure I'm going to take a Yosivas alternate line. And I'm 99% sure I end up betting on what you put out because I love it to death. But what's your summary from today, James? Where are you at?
Favorite play on the board, Noah Fant over 26.5 receiving yards. I like that up a few yards if you don't get that line. But a few leans. I lean towards Chase Brown over on the rushing yards. I just think he's due for a bounce back. And I don't think we had too much on the Steelers other than maybe a Darnell Washington under on his longest reception. But those are my leans. Fant is my favorite play of the day. So best of luck to everyone.
Beautiful. Well, best of luck, everyone. I appreciate it if you made it this far in the video. Be sure to like, subscribe. And if you want to see more of the work that James is doing, head over to his Twitter, throw him a follow. Send him some nudes if you want to. I appreciate y'all. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.